Welcome everybody to our podcast, Generational Gains. This is a podcast my dad, Greg Herlean, and myself, Carson Herlean, do together every week, where we talk about money, real estate, different financial tips, and life from the perspective of both of our experiences. And so in our last episode, we like to call it our part one of talking about qualified versus non-qualified money, where to keep your money, what's the best asset to keep your funds or the accounts to keep your funds. And then from there to invest it in whatever you like and understand. So this part two, we want to talk about what investments we're doing from our accounts, the different types of investments we're making from our retirement accounts and our policies and all kinds of stuff. So we want to kind of focus on some different things too, not just the regular stock market and real estate, whatever, but some cool things we're doing. So I think I have a fun one I want to start with, if that's okay.
Yeah, well,
before I start,
I'm also going to just say that this is probably something we're going to do a lot more often, because this is the number one thing people ask.
Yeah.
What are you investing in? What are you seeing today? What's going on in the market? What are you seeing people invest or using their retirement money? And I know they're saying the same thing, like, okay, now that I open up my IBC policy, well, what should I invest in? Or what are you investing in, Carson?
Yeah.
So today, look, I want to also put the disclaimer out. We're not, we're not financial advisors, or we're not CPAs. Consult your own advisors. Direct your own funds. You get to make those decisions. This is not a solicitation of any specific investment.
Yeah.
We just want to tell you what we're doing and how it's working. So go ahead, give us something that you've done recently.
Well, you actually made me think about how I think about investments in the first place. So I've done multiple investments over the past couple of years, and from different types of investments. And now I've been thinking about what is the best type of investment for me. And I realized there's 4 things I want an investment to have. Not every investment, but 4 things I like them to have, which would be appreciation, leverage, taxes, and cash flow. Has to appreciate, has to have some tax help of some sort. It doesn't have to, but I would prefer there to be leverage so I can get more out of it. And then, what was the last one? I forget.
Taxes, leverage, appreciation, income, cash flow?
Cash flow, yep. Has to cash flow for me. So those are kind of the boxes I want to put each investment in and see how many check marks it gets of each of those pillars. Some of them aren't going to have all of them, but I'd like to have as many of those as possible. Now, by leverage, that can be leveraging from your life insurance policy, that can be getting a loan to buy a real estate property, leveraging your 401k even to buy a property or whatever, right? So the more you can get out of the leverage pieces, the better. So that's mainly going to be real estate that hits all those 4 pillars. Buying long-term rental properties that hits those 4 pillars. Not many other investments do that. So I want to put most of my funds to long-term rentals, which I am right now. But I do like to do other fun things. And the newest thing I've been doing is forklift flipping.
Forklift
Which
flipping.
he's heard of. I think he's talked about it if you've seen him on one of his webinars. Forklift flipping, literally equipment.
I was kind of making fun. I was like, I've never heard of this before. That's when I talked about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I first thought of it, I'm like, it's interesting. I mean, you flip homes, you flip furniture, but like equipment?
Yeah.
Anyway, so this guy I've been working with, he has a big warehouse out in New York, and he has hundreds of pieces of equipment for construction. And his whole business is he buys old ones, fixes them up, paints them, takes better photos, and resells them. And he does it in like 2 or 3 months each time. It's a 2 or 3 month turn of your money. He's been scaling his business, so he's trying to buy more, but he needs capital to do that. So he's bringing in investors like myself. I come in, I buy the forklift.
From him?
From him.
Okay.
I front the money for him to get more forklifts. And then we split profits in a 60-40 fashion. He makes 60%, I make 40% of the profits of the flip.
How many have you done?
6.
6?
6.
And how much is it? How much do you put in?
So on average, I'd say 15 to 20 grand per truck or per forklift.
And each one's gone about 3 months?
Each one's about 3 months. Some have been like shorter, some longer.
And what kind of split are you making on the 40? What are you making?
So I think the average is like 10% on that 3 month period.
So basically like a 40% IRR?
Per year, yeah. Yeah.
So you're making like $1,500 in 3 months.
Basically, that's about right. Yeah, on average, 15,000 goes in. I don't hear much about the flip. He sends me the link to it when he relists it. I see it. They sell it. They let me know they sold it, and they give me the spread.
Is the title in your name or his name?
Title's in his name.
And it's insured, I assume, as well?
It is insured.
Yeah.
So we've done 6, each one about 40% annual rate of return, which has been really cool.
Forklift flipping. Love it.
Yeah.
I had a friend who used to buy equipment and sell it, and he would call it, dang it, my mind went on this. He'd call it the liquid overhaul. Sorry.
Liquid overhaul.
So he would say, I go in and I do a liquid overhaul. You know why he'd say that? Because it sounded good. You know what a liquid overhaul is?
Power wash it.
It's a paint job.
Oh.
So if you want to get real technical and sound a little bit more sophisticated, you say, hey, look, I do liquid overhaul of different equipment. But anyways, look, I love it.
That's funny. That's probably what he does.
It is. He power washes it and he paints it, and it's liquid overhaul. I'm sure he fixes the inside a little bit, but great example, phenomenal example. I'm going to give another example of mine, which is not near as exciting, but I want to share last week what I did. Last week, someone that I know had done deals with in the past was looking to borrow, basically gap funding, borrow money for their earnest money while they do their due diligence, because they had several deals under due diligence. They didn't want to lose this opportunity, so basically put up $35,000 for her, and the rate of return was 4 points up front, plus a 15% return in annualized over a 60 to 90 day close period for her due diligence.
And if she doesn't close on the deal,
I then get my money back
with the 4%.
She'll be out the interest. But it was a way for her to leverage her own money to put several deals under contract. And she's been doing it for a long time. It's not the most secure way because, yes, there's a personal guarantee, but it's a small loan. And so I'm comfortable with someone that's experienced, that I know very well, that is vouched by somebody else, a smaller dollar amount to get that kind of return. So I thought it was sexy. It's super passive for me. But if you do the math on that, not as good as 40% IRR, but if you do that math, it's about about a little over 2% per month. So it's about a 24 to 28% annualized return. Yeah. Stellar. And again, you don't have to make those kind of returns we're talking about, but these little unique opportunities, $15,000, $35,000, that's one of the things that people tell me all the time is like, well, I only have, $22,000 in my old 401k. Yeah. What can I even do with that?
Perfect.
There's one example.
Like 40% a year, that's 10 grand a year.
Even if you only did what he said twice a year and let your money sit. People talk to me about this too. It's like, well, my money sits for 6 months. Well, if he did it twice a year and let it sit for 6 months, he'd still make 20% on his money. Yeah. Which is more than double than probably what you could do in the stock market. So, anyways, that's a real life example just funded last week. Yeah. I've got one or two others, but go ahead. You want to?
Well, gap lending is interesting because for you as the investor, you're fronting money from them to put earnest money on a project, so you don't have any risk of doing any work or going through rehab or the property not appraising for what you want it to appraise for. You just front the money for a couple months.
I'm not risking really my principal. Yeah. I'm risking that if I get my money back when I get my money back, when they close or don't close, either way, let's say they don't close, can this person pay the interest? Yeah. You know what I mean?
And that's why you work with someone you trust.
They did pay the points already, so I'm good on the points. So the risk is very minimal. So yeah.
That's cool. So
what's something else in the last year that you've invested in, that you and Anna's invested in?
I may have talked about the semi-trucks before. Have we on here? I don't think so. So the semi-truck investing is something we've been doing as well. All these like forklifts, equipment, semi-trucks, like so random. Would not have ever thought I'd invest in those things. So another guy out of Houston, Texas, he's been doing this for a long time. He buys semi-trucks. He has a list of truck drivers who want to own and operate their own trucks, because you can make a lot more as a truck driver if you own and operate and not if you run routes for someone else. So he has a list of truck drivers who want to own and operate their own truck. He fronts the money and buys the truck, allows the truck driver to own and operate it, so he's going to make more money, but he'll split profits with the owner-operator for a few months while this owner-operator gets his stuff together, gets his rhythm and gets his system, and then the truck driver now has enough history of good income. He can now go get a loan with the bank and refinance the truck and own it himself, and now pay off the investor. So that's what he's been doing, is helping truck drivers own and operate their own trucks. And he's splitting profits with the truck drivers while he does it. It's like a 3 to 6 month turnaround on your money. He wanted to buy more, obviously, so he brought more investors in to do it. So I did one, well, 2 actually.
How much was that investment?
$50,000 each, and we did that 6 months ago. So $50,000 each, $100,000 into 2 semi trucks. They were then he got a truck driver in, and on both trucks. And as of like 2 weeks ago, they just refinanced it. So I got my $100,000 back, and that whole, I think like 4 or 5 month period, I was getting a paycheck every month, just splitting profits with the owner operator while he drove the truck and run the routes. So I think I made $3,600 a month for 4 months, 3.6% a month on the 100K.
Yeah.
And then I got my principal back after 3 to 6 months. So 3.6 a month is 45% a year. Another really good return. Now the risk in that is there's a lot more risk in that. The owner operator, the truck driver, could just take the truck and leave. He could disappear.
It's insured.
But it's insured. I think my name is on the truck title, which is great. And he has to obviously get enough routes to make money. But because the guy I was working with had a system, he knew how to do it. He vetted out the truck drivers first. I trusted him and what he was doing. It worked out really well.
There you go. Truck. You can buy trucks as well.
Yep. I was joking around with someone the other day saying I could have my semi truck carrying my forklift going around.
Oh, good. I like it. I'll share an example. Something. Actually, I've got 2. One is a business. Last year, a friend of mine came to and said, "Hey, look, I've got this great idea," and the idea was basically factoring, which is basically advancing, more or less,
Oh, yeah.
Real estate commissions to realtors that want them in advance before the deal closes.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting business, as advancing commissions basically, and he had this great concept. He was going to run it and do all of it, and he was looking for some startup capital, and it was only $25,000 that I put up from my IRA, and my IRA became 25% owner. So a new business. New businesses are riskier, so there's no really collateral, because if it fails, it fails. And put up my IRA as the owner, and I will say though, in this example, it's been a little less than a year, and there still has not been distributions. So and I have no problem. I have no problem telling you the dirt as well. There's a little more upside with that, because if it crushes it like it's supposed to, then after it's covering all its expenses, the upside is huge, huge. When you're investing in businesses, I mean, there's people that have for $5,000 have bought into a business, a startup, and turned it into millions of dollars, hundreds of millions. Mr. PayPal guy, Peter Thiel. But you can do that as well in businesses. So that's something I did in a business, to be continued as far as results go. Yeah. But if you are a passive investor with your IRA, you can start businesses and invest that way. So
that's interesting.
The other thing I was going to share with you, I thought, I don't know if I told you about this or not. This was not me, but someone who is into horses. Did I tell you this? Cutting horse?
I don't think so.
So a cutting horse, and I could be wrong on the details. I'm not big into horses, but cutting horses are hired and used at rodeos, and they help like with the
steering the bulls.
They help
and stuff.
steer cattle or whatever is at these rodeos, right? Horses even, right? That's a cutting horse. These are trained animals. Well, this client, this is a client of ours that my staff told me about. Their IRA funded a checkbook LLC. That LLC went and bought a cutting horse. Now, client can't ride the horse.
Yeah.
Because that would be prohibited. But the client can lease the horse out. The client is leasing their horse out, their cutting horse out to rodeos and getting anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a weekend.
Going back to his LLC.
The horse costs $70,000.
Okay.
The trained cutting horse, $70,000. That was the investment. The $1,000 to $2,000 a week is being paid back in the checkbook LLC, which is owned by the IRA, so they're not paying taxes on it. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many rodeos are doing. I should need to look at their account. But I've got friends that have, like the Matsons and others who have, kids that are in rodeo. There's rodeos every single weekend for the most part, especially like in San Juan and other places. So I assume the horse isn't out every weekend, but let's just say the horse is out 20 weekends.
A year? Yeah.
20 times 1 or 2, whatever that number is, $20,000 to $40,000 on a $70,000 investment. That's what
and if it goes back to a Roth IRA,
not paying taxes.
It's tax-free.
So anyways, I thought that was a really unique thing. You talk about forklifts,
that's
a
genius.
Cutting horse. So invest in what you know and what you understand. But that was, I think, a pretty interesting example.
Well, no, you're right, because invest in what you know and understand. That's the underlying meaning. Some people love the stock market and they're good at it. Keep doing it. Yeah. And so these fun ideas are just other alternative investments that are pretty cool that you can do through your retirement accounts and get tax-free or things like that. So these are some things we've been doing lately and seen others do. So it also opens our minds of what's able to be invested in and what businesses you can run and operate. So it's cool.
And look, I'd say as we wrap up here, I would really encourage and would love if you message us and tell us something unique that you've invested in. Anything that you might have invested in with your IRA or non-IRA, be it forklifts, what did I call it? Liquid overhauling, car business, homes, whatever it is. But if there's something out there that is unique and different that you've invested in with your IRA or non-IRA, would love to hear about it. Message us, tell us about it, and we'll talk about it. Love to pick some of it apart and or potentially invest in it. When you're investing $15,000, $20,000 or $30,000, and you've got maybe bigger accounts than that, you can kind of do these small, unique, fun things. And so focus and find different opportunities that you like and understand, and with people that you like and understand. That's my advice, is really it's about who you work with, not necessarily about the asset class. You could buy the best piece of real estate, but have the wrong manager or partner, and you could lose all your money. It's about the right people. So you want to wrap up?
I love it. Well, I was also just thinking too, like, I started the whole conversation about the 4 pillars of what to invest in and how real estate hits all those. We didn't even talk about real estate, but just so you guys know, if you're looking for long-term wealth, I believe investing in long-term rentals passively is the best way to do that. You'll get the best cash flow, best appreciation, best tax benefits.
And you're doing that.
That's what I want to do all day long. But some small one-off investments are great too.
Yeah, they're fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Fun to do. Yeah.
Awesome. So we always end our episodes with sweet, sour, and service, which today I think we're just going to just do our sweets, just kind of end with the highlight of our week, and we'll wrap up. So what do you got?
I'd say a big sweet for me is our company is really focused on doing, we do a live webinar every 2 weeks, and we put a lot of energy into that. And this was one of our best webinars we had this last week. So my staff did a really good job as far as getting people there and also engaged and had great questions. And so that was a really nice sweet for me is having a live webinar, because live sometimes you just never know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And we had a great webinar. So that was a sweet for me this week. What about you?
That's great. Now, business-wise, again, for me, is where my head's going. This week, I feel like I've got more comfortable and confident on camera and on webinars and presenting. And so I'm excited about that. I want to keep presenting, keep being in front of people live and trying to get better and better so I can speak on a stage like WealthCon like you did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, look, again, and as always, comment or send us a message. Let us know what you're looking for. If there's a message you want us to talk about or something between us, that'd be a good subject. Please share with us. We'd love to share it back and give you our feedback on something that might be on your mind, or maybe on like, hey, how do you talk to your kids or son about something, or daughter about something, and we can kind of just role play that a little bit as well. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.